Good evening, and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the thing show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African American didn't find his or her way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous one. One of the things I like to do, and it's because I've been in this situation before, is to talk to these brothers who you see out on the streets because I really want to know their story. What happened? How'd you get in this position? Where's your family? What happened to you? And a lot of the brothers fall in the same rut. I mean, if you do this in your own town, you will see the stories keep coming up the same. But it's always the same story. And I'm like, why? And what I'm noticing and what I'm finding out as these young men, a lot of them, were in the service, a lot were in the service, and it just wasn't, they had a conscience. They couldn't do what the military was asking of them. Many of them just went in because it was an opportunity to leave where they were in their neighborhoods back at home, wherever they're from. So I'm down in the South. I'm in the knee-deep South. Beautiful place. Beautiful place. Some of the best people in the world. Best farmers, produce the best food, off the hook. And what I'm noticing is that the female too, but the male in that species of people there are being wiped out, being obliterated. And the one who seems to be making sure that happens are the people who are being obliterated. They're the ones that's making sure it happens. And arrogant about it. A friend of mine sent me a image of the guy that many of you guys know, named Umar Johnson. He was conversing with these ladies, and one of the ladies said, and I couldn't believe this. I mean, we're here, we're moving into the fifth dimension, and you have women, the mothers of us all. This is what this sister said. Sisters, hear ye, hear ye. If you're pregnant and you're going to have a black baby, abort that motherfucker. This a woman. Well, I don't know, because there was so much makeup and all that stuff. Say if you pregnant with a son, a black son, you abort that motherfucker. This was this sister's words. And so I'm thinking to myself, now, does that go for her too? Because she's a female, it probably don't. But would you want that to happen to your father, your brother, or what? It's just the cats that you don't get along with. That could be it. But anyway, I just want to share a couple of slides with you to let you know what an indigenous man is. Ain't nobody, I'm gonna show you the difference. So we're here in America, and everybody knows what America means. Rich soul people, rich love, It's always a higher vibration thinking, a higher vibration of looking at somebody. That's why they call them indies, indigenous. That's not what they called themselves. That's what people who came here were calling them. Why? Because they didn't really need for anything because they produced everything themselves. And the males was a vital part of that. The males were a vital part of that. So I want to show you guys something, and you got to keep this in mind because a lot of times we look at ourselves by what other people say. And you're only gonna lose doing it like that. But what you call the black man, the African American man, that's what he's been named by other people. They didn't name themselves that. Other people came in and called themselves like the West Indies. Who are those people? Why are they called Indian? Because they were independent. They did things the right way. What happened is somebody in here started training the majority of us. Going back to the sister who was, praying for the brother's death. The male, when they say the male is the head, that's not what is meant. This is what is meant by the male being the head. Check this out. And all you got to do is think about it and it'll come to you. This is why it's imperative that you don't learn anything. This is why it is imperative that you don't know anything. This is why it's imperative that when you go to school, it is to be made sure that you come out a blooming idiot. Check this out. And you guys got to remember this, because see, a lot of brothers, especially in this religious circle, you get confused or what your role is or what you're here to do. And I'm going to show you that this is, we only going to be on probably about 10 more minutes. This is how simple this is, y'all. And if we look at it other than this, and please, while you're in the chat, you come back and tell me, is this right or wrong? Yay or nay? Is this something that you can roll with or not? Check this out. So a lot of times I get into it with brothers because, brothers be like, man, we the baby has our blood. That baby got my blood. And I try to tell brothers, babies get no blood from you. They get that through their mama. And this is what I get with all these brothers that's in all these groups trying to be all these gods and whatever. And all they're doing is confusing themselves. When you look at what the man adds, the head, all they're talking about is the sperm cell. And if you look at the sperm cell, it don't take no scientist to tell you, you ain't got to go to school for 15 years to learn. The sperm cell is basically the brain and the central nervous system. Now, the Negro will argue, tear up shit. You can look at it. This is the purpose of the male. The brain and the central nervous system. The blood comes from the mother. I mean, it's seriously, what is it? 2022 now? We about to go into the fall of 2022. When do you think this will be widely known about the community? Probably what, another 100 years? Because we don't share information. We always confusing. The black man never gets it right. So remember that about the sperm. brain and central nervous system. Armed brothers always trying to figure out stuff in this life cycle that we live in. Mhm. No, this is the male. This is what you don't. This is what some of you want. You want this to be aborted because you've aborted a whole bunch of them. This is what you don't want to keep coming. You don't want yourself to keep coming. You're trying to cut that off. That's why they tell you to get an abortion. That's why you have Negroes. We want abortions. This is how they have the black man. This is how the African American thinks. Right or wrong. Go ahead and say right. You will never be wrong again. That's how simple it is. That's how the body's designed. That's why you got a right hemisphere and left hemisphere. There's always another way. Black people, they don't have no other way because they're black. They're nothing. It's always dark. They can't see. And they will call themselves that with glee, with arrogance. I see people with Black Queen on the front of their chest every day. What do you think other people? What do you think other people teach their children black is? Don't they teach their children that black is always the monster? Black is always we know this, and we do it every day. We do it every day. This is what we teach our children they are. But this is what other people teach your children they are. And this is what I'm saying. When you get to be able to think for yourself, and that's about 7 or 8, this is why they start teaching you. This is why they train you. Now, a lot of it, we mad. This is exactly how every Negro in America was trained. Check this out. You see this part right here? This purple part? We're going to call this you, the physical body. This is you. This is your shoes, your pants, which you don't make, you buying from somebody else because you're black. This is how you identify. This is why you're always wearing hats and shades. Can you imagine a Negro wearing shades? Come on, my eyes hurt. You never worn before. You always adding things. This is yourself right here. And when you're in intestines, when you got to take a shit, what, you don't ask nobody. You go get rid of the waste that no longer serves your body. I mean, and your physical, your hand doesn't do that. Your heart doesn't do that. Your legs doesn't do that. You use them to take you so your intestines can go relieve themselves. But you don't identify with that. You don't identify with the heart. You don't identify with the lungs, the liver, and all. You identify with this purple part, this meat suit that you're wearing. Everybody has one. Everybody has one. They got you so twisted that they'll have you. I remember I was with a sister that we were breaking up, and I walked in the room and she was naked, and she go and try to cover herself up like I've never seen you naked before. That's what we pay attention to. That's what other people have labeled black. That's what other people have listed African American. That's what other people, and you didn't do that. Somebody else did. You took what they said, internalized it, got emotionally attached to it, and start referring to yourself as that. So this is the brothers who I be meeting when I be going, and you just take the brother and try to take him somewhere to get him something nice to eat. Just talk to him, and because a lot of them are in bad shape because they weren't trained, they weren't wanted. And one of the brothers said, and it was a trip. He goes, man, he said, when I got 30 years old, it was like, bye. I can't serve nobody. I'm no good for nobody else. When he started to think for himself, everybody left him alone. This is how the males, the African American males, the black males, notice the play on words. This is how they're treated. Got a whole brain up here, never used. Because when he's a baby, somebody's putting stuff in the brain. Because I asked the brothers who are in the military. So you're in the military. What does it feel like going to kill people, for people, working for people that don't give a shit about you? They don't realize that until they're in. Why am I going over here to Iraq? To kill people who I've never even met, don't even know. Then they get back home and ask themselves, what if these people, now that they're over here, start doing the same thing to my mother and father that I was doing to their mothers and father? The Negro doesn't think of that. The Negro doesn't think about the military industrial complex that he serves. He don't think of that. And in every war, what happens to the Negro that comes from the war? How does the country treat him? You've heard this from every war, but we don't care. We're not important enough to think of another way for ourselves. And the people that do think of ways and ideas, they're ignored. Like these men coming out. Another interesting story the brother brought up. So he said he can't see his kids no more. His ex-wife's gotten married, and he can't see his kids no more. And he said, this is how I know that it's twisted. So when I'm in the military and that money is funneling through, I'm good. I'm I'm all the way on the other side of the world, and another man is sleeping in my bed. Nobody ever brings that up, but he got a gnaw on that every day. He got a gnaw on that every day. So when you see these brothers out here on the street, I mean, buy them a smoothie, buy them a juice or something. Just, let them know that, hey, man, we care about you. You're not out here and you're not in our thoughts. You are. We realize what's going on, But it's kind of hard with these brothers because they have been trained by the armies, the navies, the air forces to be nothing. That's why they call themselves black. That's why they call themselves African American. Not attached to a thing in the world. So what I would have to say to brothers, remember, your sperm this is the head of the sperm, and everything along it, all this whole thing, that's the central nervous system, which sprouts out everything. You gotta know what purpose you serve, who you are. It don't mean nothing just to say, "Oh, I'm an Indian." That's a what? What does that mean? What do the people in the Indies think like? What are they spiritual practices? Do they have their own spiritual practices or do they have someone else's? Huh? Do they take other people's spiritual practices and apply it to themselves? Tell the truth, then you'll start living the truth. See, what we normally do, we lie, don't we? We lie and try to act like our emotions are wrapped into a religion that the same people that kicked your ass gave you. You trying to pretend like it works for you. Y'all know what you got coming. You know what you got. You don't need your own spiritual practices. You're not even in them. You will turn your back on them and go pick up Jesus, won't you? And try to pretend like somebody's doing something to you. Keep it up. You stay and those of you who are there, stay there. Because you definitely gonna get what you deserve. Closing out, I want to say this. This is very important. This person over in England that they said died, the queen, not my queen, not a queen in my eyes, period. It's going to be a whole different era now because that's they run their clock, their calendar, they dates by what those people say. See, when you say the King James version of the Bible, those are her people that wrote that. The King Henry VIII, the Great Bible, those are those people that wrote those stories telling those people how to live. And if you go to England and you talk to the average English person or how they living over there, it's brutal. It's brutal. What those people, but we just whatever the TV say, that's what went on. She was over that whole thing for they say 70 years. So let's say the civil rights era. That shit is dead. All that thinking, all that hoopla that went on with doing nothing but keeping you mind fucked. I mean, it was all in the 40s, 50s, 60s with that moon thing. They tricked y'all that they was going to. We didn't even get it. I know Negroes today will cuss you out, won't you? Because they believe this is them. They believe they're the outside body. And what the brain can do, what the spinal cord column has in it, have brought you this far. Question is, where is it taking you from here? You guys have a good evening, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.